Hello, let's take a look at an integrated online marketing solution that combines the best of search, display, social, and content marketing. My name is Frederick Valles. I'm the former Google AdWords evangelist, and now I'm the founder of Top Tier Inc. and Top Tier Tools. If you would like to stay in touch, please tweet me at Silicon Valleys or check out my website and my blog at toptiertools.com. Now, if you're an online marketer today, it can be quite a challenge to choose the best form of online marketing. It used to be easier in the past when you had very few options and when everything seemed so simple. But nowadays there's so many things going on, and it can be quite challenging to weigh the pros and the cons of all the different options that you have. Now, in the past, a couple of years ago, search marketing was an absolute no-brainer because it was very, very targeted. You could choose exactly what keywords to target your ads to, you could write your own ad text, you choose your own cost per click, you're fully in control of when these ads show. And these ads are still fantastic, they can have great conversions, but the problem is that for many small businesses and for startups, some of these keywords tend to be quite expensive. Here's an example of an ad for content marketing, and you can see the top 3 slots sold out, the top 9 slots sold out. And when I was looking at advertising on this specific keyword, we saw that it was going to be around $7 cost per click just to be able to appear somewhere on page 1. So that was quite expensive. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, you have display ads. And display ads are the ads that can show up on any of Google's millions of sites in the Google Display Network. And what's nice about these is that because there's so many of them, there tends to be quite a bit of inventory, and some of these could be much, much cheaper clicks than buying an expensive keyword on the Google search results page. But the downside is that, as you can see in this example, sometimes there's not a whole lot of relevance or connection between your ad and what you're trying to sell and what the page is talking about, right? So while these clicks may be more affordable on a per-click basis, maybe they're not leading to the same results because the pages you showed up on were too general. Now, the good news is that there is actually a play where you can combine search to get really relevant clicks with display to get really cheap clicks, and you add in a little bit of content and social marketing and advertising, and you can get some pretty decent results. So here's how display would work. Take a look at a different search results page for Google. This one is for the keyword, what is content marketing? And as you notice here, there's only one ad at the top of the page and there's no ads on the right-hand side. And this probably speaks to the fact that the query in this case, the keyword, is not super high commercial in intent. And so for that reason, some companies may have decided they don't want to advertise on this keyword. And in many cases, it's probably Google and its quality score saying, yeah, even though you want to advertise, your result is not good enough for what the user is looking for. So either you get a better page and a better ad, or you pay us a lot of money. And so looking at the ad that you see right there, it is not the best answer in my opinion for the question, what is content marketing? So I'm thinking this ad is probably paying quite a high cost per click to be able to show up on that page. Now, if you as a company had a really good answer for that question, you could write a piece of content, you could write a really good blog post that describes what content marketing is, you could potentially appear somewhere on this page. And you could probably buy an advertising position, and it might be a whole bunch cheaper than the $7 that you would have had to pay on the keyword content marketing, where there was much more competition. But the other thing you can do on this page is you can try to figure out, how do I get into the organic results? And here's a company that you see, it's Copyblogger, and they've done a good job being one of the top 5 search results in the organic section for the query, what is content marketing? And so obviously they must have written some good content that Google found. But the other thing they've done really well is something that's a little bit newer in Google, and they've taken advantage of the authorship information. And so what that specifically means is that here you have an author, Brian Clark, and more than 37,000 people have put Brian in their Google Plus circle. And so what Google is doing is they're saying, well, if Brian is writing, a lot of people have put them in their circles, so he must be a pretty good author. He must know what he's talking about. And so if there's a result in a piece of content that he's written that could be a potential match for that specific keyword, he's going to have a much better chance to show up high on the organic search results than anyone else. And so the same thing applies to paid advertising. In fact, if you take a look back on the top of that page, you can see that even in the paid ad, it says more than 1,800 people have +1 or followed this company. And so this is a social signal that Google is able to use to say this is a really good result. This is something we should give more weight to. We should show it higher up on the page. And so Brian has done a really good job of this as well. The other point to make here really quickly is that in the past, the way Google would look at organic rankings was they would always belong to a site or a web page. But now Google is saying, well, it's actually the person behind that page or behind the article who deserves some of that credit. So maybe Brian was writing for the Wall Street Journal, right? Wall Street Journal is a really respected newspaper, but it's actually Brian as an author who's maybe contributing a lot of that value. So if Brian decides to go and write for a different newspaper, some of his authority, some of his credibility should carry over to that new place he's writing for, in this case, the copy blogger. And so that's how you as an author producing great content, you actually have some techniques available nowadays to tell Google, hey, I'm the author of this piece and I have this many people who put me in their circles, and that is going to help you get higher up on those pages. Anyway, regardless of whether you produce a piece of content that you get an organic listing for, or you buy a paid search ad, the point is you want to get people to click over to your site. And here's whether that happens. So they've clicked on the organic result, and now they've come to a page about Copy Blogger. It's just a blog post. It's an article that's a pretty good answer to that specific question. But the main point of this page, if you were a marketer, could be to drop a cookie on the computer of that user. And when you drop a cookie, as you can see right there, it's available through Google Analytics or through Google AdWords. It's a piece of JavaScript that sets a cookie on their computer and then identifies that user as they move to other websites on the internet. And so once you've put a whole bunch of these people into your remarketing list, as they call it, now you can market back to these people. And getting people to visit your site from organic or from paid ads, that's one way to get people into your remarketing list. But there's a couple of other techniques, and let's take a look at those. Here, for example, you can go to LinkedIn and you can get people to visit your site from LinkedIn. A great way to do this is to take a look at the profile pages of people who are your potential customers. You know, people on the internet are pretty vain. Everybody has Googled themselves. And on LinkedIn, there's this little feature where you can actually see who has visited your profile page. And people love to look at this. So if you visited the profile of a potential customer, eventually they'll take a look at who's been to their page. They'll see that you came to their page, and maybe they're curious now. Maybe you've piqued their interest and they visit your website, your webpage. And you know what? People are very busy, so they visit your website. They're not interested in buying at that point in time. But now you've dropped a cookie on their computer. In that 1 second that they looked at your website, you've been able to drop a cookie. And that person is now on your remarketing list. The same with AppSumo. AppSumo is kind of like a Groupon for online marketing and for startups. And so you have a lot of people getting the offers from AppSumo, and not all of them are buying, not by a long shot. But they are seeing these offers, they are visiting the websites related to the offers, and as soon as they visit the website, again, you just drop a cookie, and that person, even if they don't buy, they go into your remarketing list. Now that you've built a remarketing list, you have to figure out how to get use of that, right? So now you're going to look at how do I reconnect with these customers, these potential customers, and how do I sell to them, and how do I maybe even build a little bit of a brand for myself. And here's what you do. You can go into Google AdWords, where you've taken the JavaScript to place cookies on people's computers, and you can use that to make your remarketing lists. You can take them individually or you can combine them. But all in all, this is not very powerful. This is pretty basic functionality. Personally, I much better prefer Google Analytics. If you are running Google Analytics and you've connected it up to your AdWords account, you can do very sophisticated things. You can say anyone who's come to my website through Google Analytics, that person goes onto my remarketing list. Or you can say just the people who visited a certain page on my website should go on the remarketing list. Or people who did a certain goal event, so a certain type of a conversion, they go onto my remarketing list. Or people who spent a certain amount of time, they go on my remarketing list. And even more sophisticated, you can do specific dimension and metric filters, or you can do sequence filters. This is super powerful. Now you could say, okay, well, I'm going to look for every user in Google Analytics who matches a certain source and a specific search term, and that is going to be one remarketing list. Right? So any metric that you can think of, you can take a look and you can filter your users through Google Analytics and make a remarketing list from that. When it comes to a sequence filter, it's different. It's looking at people who visited a certain set of pages in sequence on your website. And now the reason that you've done all this segmentation is because you want to show different ads and different offers to different audiences from your remarketing lists. A good example here is at the bottom you see 10% off our tools. That is a perfect message to show to someone who's visited your pricing page but didn't buy. Maybe they were price sensitive. You also see better than XYZ Inc. That could be a good ad for someone who visited the page that describes how you position yourself vis-a-vis your competitors. If they weren't convinced, if they didn't buy, this could be another way for you to convince them, hey, we're still better than the competitors. Please come buy from us. So once you've done this, you've done your audience targeting, your ad will start showing up wherever those users go on the internet. And so it could be a site like BBC News. If they are running AdSense, which they are, you could show up on that page. In this case, it's even at the top of the page. And not only are you reconnecting with a potential customer, you're also branding. You know, people see you on a pretty respected page like this and they say, whoa, this must be a good company. This is someone I should consider doing business with. Right, so now you've done a good job, you've done your remarketing, and hopefully you've gotten some people to come to your website. Now, what's the next thing? The next thing is usually frustration for marketers, because now that the user comes to your site, you may not be in control over the landing page experience. And maybe that's because you have a webmaster team that can't very quickly address all of your requests. Maybe it's the engineers who control most of the website. And so it could be very challenging. There's tools out there like Optimizely, which are typically or technically A/B or multivariate landing page testing tools. But these tools can also be used to just change things on your site. Point and click. And here you see it in action, right? So rather than me having to go into the code of my website, I can simply figure out what is it that I want to change. I can make some text changes. I can change some images. I can drag stuff around. And it's all point and click. And then I make different variations and I present the landing page that I want to show people. But what if you're not happy with your existing landing pages? What if you wanted to start from scratch? Well, a really good tool that I like for this is called Unbounce. And as you can see here, they have a whole bunch of really professional templates. And so you take a look and you see, yeah, that's kind of a layout that I like. And now you can go and make edits to it. And the editing you do in here is, once again, WYSIWYG. So it's what you see is what you get. It shows you the page and you double click on something and you can change the image. And you double click on a piece of text and you update the text. And so within about 5 minutes, in my own example, I was able to produce a page like this that looks very professional, has really compelling content on it. And the next thing I can do is I can make variations of this now. I can say, oh, well, let me try it with a different call to action. Let me try it with different bullets next to each of those arrows. And then they will start running your different landing pages and they will report back to you which one seems to give you the best results, the most sales, the best conversion. And so when you put it all together, hopefully you're getting some pretty good results from different ways of putting online marketing techniques together using some pretty cool tools. And I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. If you want to reach out, my name is Frederic Valles. I'm at toptiertools.com. Or on Twitter, I'm at Silicon Valleys, or you can also email me. Thank you very much.